Welcome to Fantasy45 Podcast, Episode 2. We're talking about Week 7 NFL football right now. We're going to talk to you about all the different fantasy trades and all the different pickups and predictions and everything you need to know to make sure that you demolish your opponents this week. And again, people always ask us, Noah or Jared or Mike, why do you guys call it Fantasy45 Podcast? It's because here at Fantasy45 Podcast, we guarantee you 4 to 5 wins on your fantasy season, and you can put a seal on that. You can put a stamp like those old British ones with the wax and stuff. All right. As always, I'm your host Noah Upsalt. With us today we have Jared Williams and Michael Smith, and I think we're good to go. Let's get into things.
Feeling good today, no. I'm feeling really good.
I'm feeling good.
Got my Raiders playing tonight against the Chiefs. Looking to be a good game. Got a few fantasy pickups in terms of that game.
So, how much will the Chiefs win by tonight?
Well, today it's not going to happen that way. The Raiders are consistently ass against the Chiefs, but you know what the spread is this week?
What?
Spread's a 3-point spread. 3 points in Oakland. We're going to have an upset tonight.
I'll take Kansas City.
I'm going to just take a big risk here and take Kansas City.
That's a risk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
big risk. 3 points.
In this room it is.
We just lost to the Chargers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, let's get into it. We're going to start with all of our school here. Texas football. Tough loss last week. I think whoever said, I know you guys both had Oklahoma and I had Texas. I'm going to go Texas again this week against Oklahoma State. And this week, the score, which I'm coming up with right now, is going to be 27-2. Texas will win 27. And Oklahoma State's score will be, I'm trying to do the math.
Oh my gosh.
24. Isn't that crazy? That's going to be the score of the game? What do you think, Mike?
I'm feeling a bounce back week from Texas. I think Texas wins 38-34.
38-34. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to be the realist of the group. The only realist UT football fan at this school who predicts Texas to lose
week in and week out.
Week in and week out more than I probably should. OSU's just too good. Mason Rudolph's just a really good quarterback.
His name is Rudolph.
His name is Rudolph.
How good can you be?
Sort of like Kyle Rudolph. Pretty good tight end.
All right, well, sure.
So that's...
What's your score?
Yes, score.
My score is 42-28.
It hurts.
42.
42-28. We got some high-powered
Our
offenses.
secondary breaks down every now and again, but I don't see 42 points.
Hey, one of our biggest fans here, Deshaun Elliott. Quick shout out to Deshaun Elliott. I expect no less than 2 pick sixes this week. Deshaun, if you ever want to be on the show, let us know. And that rhymes, and I don't know what rhymes with rhymes, so let's go.
All-American Deshaun Elliott.
Mid-season All-American for sure, for certain. All right, let's go back to the Professional Football League, the PFL, and let's get one takeaway from this week. I would just like to start. For our most loyal listeners who listened to all 77 minutes of our podcast last week.
Shout out to Noah's mom.
Shout out to Noah's mom.
Appreciate the support.
Thanks, Jared. And let you know that last week that my boys here, Michael and Jared, they said that AP, Adrian Peterson, the Hall of Famer, was gonna get I think under 10 carries was the number.
I think over-under was 12, I think.
Got you. And can you just tell me, Jared, real quick, what happened last week concerning Adrian Peterson?
This is a good thing because this is also my takeaway from last week. So I lost by 5 points last week.
Okay.
Because of a man named Andre Ellington. Andre Ellington got 0 points. AP had...
But he did get one target.
Got a target. Did not catch that target.
Did not catch it.
AP had how many carries, Michael? 28, 29 carries
26.
Last week? 26.
26 for 134.
That's pretty...
2 touchdowns.
I think that's good, right?
That's solid.
I think that you could consider it's a good football player. So the one that's my takeaway for this week is although AP did do phenomenal, it was a weird game. The Cardinals were up a ton the entire game. Crazy comeback by your boy Ryan Fitzpatrick over there. Good job. Shout out to Ryan Fitzy.
The Harvard
the best Fitz last name that starts with Fitz in the league. Better than Fitzgerald. I'm just kidding. But I think that he'll continue to get in the high teens carries, but I think 25 is pushing it for the future. I'm gonna go this week. I'm gonna go 20 carries flat. Let's have it a nice round number. The other thing I wanted to talk about, the Titans backfield. If you have anyone named DeMarco Murray or Derrick Henry, if you have those guys on your team, you probably should have them on someone else's team. So put them on the block and get them out of there. What do you guys think? You guys agree with both of those predictions?
Henry, if you look at his stat line, you might say 19 carries for 100 plus yards. Oh, he's pretty good. But most of that happened in garbage time.
How long
if
was
you
that
can
that's
60-ish, 70-ish, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to overvalue him and just ship him off, do it.
Especially to a DeMarco Murray owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, in case, because, I mean, DeMarco Murray is rumors about injury. I don't think they're true, but, some people are a little skittish. All right, what's your guys' takeaway this week?
So, going back off of a looks can be deceiving, Carlos Hyde, if you just look at the surface, 22 fantasy points in my Yahoo League. But if you dive into that, you get 13 carries, 28 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I would find a way to get rid of Carlos Hyde because if you look the week before, 8 carries, 11 yards, then 16 carries, 68 yards. The production isn't consistent, and it looks on the outside that he's good running back, but I'd find a way. No, I'd find a way to trade him, sell him high after a 22-point week in which he averaged a little over 2 yards a carry.
In fantasy football, don't touchdowns equate to points?
But do you think he's going to get 2 touchdowns a week?
I think the 49ers can score.
I think yards per carry is a much more sustainable thing than touchdowns, obviously.
Okay, I can see that.
That's also interesting with the yards per carry thing. Joe Mixon averaging under 3 yards per carry. That's just something we can look at later. My takeaway from last week, though, is going to be Amari Cooper. So last week, Amari Cooper had 6 targets, 5 receptions for about 28 yards. Derek Carr said he wants to get him the ball more. He said the ball's going to find him. And another thing to note is he had about a 35-yard catch, a really great run, called back due to penalty. He's been beating corners left and right the past couple weeks. I think now's the time to buy low on him if you can.
I got to disagree there.
Are you watching the same Amari Cooper?
I got to disagree there. Amari Cooper is an extremely talented athlete. He could beat me in a foot race for sure. But I don't like starting him until you see him put up an Amari Cooper caliber or a 2015 Amari Cooper caliber game.
Amari Cooper's been known as a guy to have 5 points and then 35 points. And the problem is you're going to start him after that 35-point game, and he's going to – if you start him for the rest of the year, then you'll capture that 35-point game.
It's a T.Y. Hilton stat line, though, of 5 points and 20 points. You're starting T.Y. every week,
but
too.
T.Y. doesn't have his quarterback. T.Y.
doesn't have Michael Crabtree on his roster.
Right. Here's the thing. If you can find if Jared Williams is in your league, trade Amari Cooper to Jared Williams. I just don't think there's anyone else who's gonna. I don't think it's a good idea. We wanted to go over some of last week's predictions we made during the podcast, and I know we went over AP a little bit, but I just have a quick song for AP. I just wanted that I dedicated to AP. All right, just wanted to get the hot and cold in there. Didn't know how long the intro was. But yeah, AP, why are you so hot and cold over there? And but yeah, obviously you guys are both wrong about that. You're both stupid about that. I'm smarter than you. My favorite pick of maybe the boldest pick of last week from our very own Michael Smith was Steelers over the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs.
No longer undefeated
No
Kansas
longer.
City Chiefs.
Where did that inspiration come from inside of you, Michael?
I just figured Ben Roethlisberger isn't going to throw 5 interceptions every game. The
Good.
Chiefs aren't going to win 16 games in the regular season. They're going to lose at one point. Ben's going to have a good game at one point.
The Chiefs are historically bad against the Steelers, but Michael picked that one
The
out.
Steelers are always in games except when Ben throws 5 picks, which he's not going to do every game.
Right.
And he just managed to pull it out.
Good pick there. Another one I'd like to. So I think that's something that offsets my Adrian Peterson prediction was my C.J. Anderson prediction.
Got a little quiet there.
Got a little quiet there. C.J. Anderson, I predicted 2 touchdowns, 110 total yards. I think he got less than that. But
Just
let's
a
move on. Just a
You want me to
smidge.
pull that up?
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, what was crazier, the CJ's production or that game? Because when you see that game and without any Giants receivers, you're saying the Broncos are going to be up the entire time. The Giants are going to be trying to come back, and the Giants will be on the field for 10 minutes the entire game, and CJ is going to be just fed the ball. Jamal Charles, sorry, you're a Texas alum. I love you, but if you could just let CJ do his thing and please leave Denver, that'd be great.
CJ had 9 carries for 17 yards.
All right. Well, I was
Jamal
trying to avoid
5 for
that.
19. Not what you're looking for
We're s-
there.
I'm still pretty high on CJ for the rest of the year. I don't see one. I think this game's just going to be a little outlier.
Right.
Being down, the Broncos aren't going to be down much.
I think he'll do good this week against the Chargers, I believe. Last prediction: Stafford and Cousins. I think one of us had Stafford
One of us did have Stafford, and I will accept
Against
the
the
loss.
Saints.
against me and Jared, who had
Who would have
Cousins.
thought if the Lions scored 38 points, that Stafford would have less than 18
No, the
points?
more surprising one was Breeze. Had I think 11 points. Well, they scored
Or
52
Michael
points.
Thomas in a 52-point Saints
Right.
game.
So-
A healthy Michael Thomas.
One last thing about the Saints, Steelers Chiefs game is me and Mike had a slap bet, I believe, on that game with a 4-point. I said if the Chiefs win by 4 points was the over under, then under 4 is a slap. So you're gonna hear it live right here. Here it comes. Oh, right in my face. Oh, okay.
I'm a witness. That was 100% real.
Okay.
I promise. Michael has a very good hand.
I think we're getting too used to smacking that on the wall. Okay, let's move on from last week. Let's talk a little bit about how we did. One thing. I'm besides this one league. I was 3-0 this week in my 4 leagues. I needed C.J. Anderson and T.Y. Hilton, 2 of my best players, to combine for 7 points, and they did not do the deed. And I, just like I am now, was crying. Any other reports from last week?
Last week, I lost by 23 points.
Ooh.
And if you start, unwinding that 23 points, Jameis Winston gets hurt.
Okay.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins gets a touchdown called back.
Okay.
The Chicago Bears decide to not touch a Ravens returner who then gets up and runs for a touchdown. That's 6 points for that touchdown, 8 points for the Seferian-Jenkins. And if Jameis Winston doesn't get hurt, who knows what happens. But, that's fantasy. That's why we play.
It's tough. Tough one. Jared, any exciting stuff from last week?
Well, last week, going into the week, it was not looking good for me at all. And my team surprisingly started to coming back. Jordan Howard had a great week. He had about 36 carries. I'm liking Jordan Howard ROS. But unfortunately, I was facing Deshaun Watson and Gronkowski. They could not get the job done for me. And
Tough one.
going into the final day, Monday, leading by about 7 or 8. Or no, actually, I was leading by 12. And DeMarco Murray put the nail in the coffin by scoring a touchdown
Gotcha.
in the fourth quarter.
Gotcha. Okay.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Let's move on to a few buy low, sell highs for this week. I love Mark Ingram for the rest of the season. In the past, when Mark Ingram doesn't have a Hall of Famer in the backfield to compete with, he's been great. He was great last week without Adrian Peterson. I know you're not technically buying low, but I still think you pick him up if you can. Another thing, Just a quick tip on buying low. Look for guys on buy. If you don't need a player this week, or you're 5-1 or 6-0, even 4-2, look for guys on buy, and try to give someone who needs a player a guy not on buy, and see if you can get a little upside on that. So, yes. What are other buy lows this week?
Mine's not necessarily a buy low, but it's a buy. And it might have gone, his window of buy might have gone away last week, but it's Austin Seferian-Jenkins. If you look at his stats in the last few weeks, his targets went from 4 to 8 to 11 last week. Josh McCown is just quite frankly throwing the ball to him at will, and he had 8 receptions, 46 yards, and should have had 2 touchdowns, but had 1 touchdown. I'd find a way to get him. Now,
Can we get
his value
can we
might
get a rest of season ranking real quick?
From our said top 10 tight
7.
end.
7. Smack it on the wall. I'm gonna go 6.
Wow.
So how do I win that if he only finishes 7?
I just like him more than you do.
His
Hey, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, if you're listening and you're like, hey, who should I go and I'll give him a signed jersey to? You know who likes you better. Jared.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with top 6 also. Besides Ertz, Kelsey, and Gronkowski, it's a little iffy. You got Zach Rudolph at 4, I think. Ingram at 5.
Zach Rudolph's not at 4.
Ingram at 5, and then I got Seferian-Jenkins at 6. That's my ROS right now.
Okay. Who's your buy low this week?
Mine's not really it's not too much of a buy low because you could probably snag him off the waivers if you're needing someone for just 1 week, and that's Benny Fowler. So Benny Fowler has had one good game this year, the first game of the year. Emmanuel Sanders has been rolled out.
I really don't think people know who Benny Fowler is.
Nobody knows who Benny Fowler is.
What?
Name, a position, and
He's a wide receiver for the Broncos.
You have a birth certificate?
2 touchdowns on opening night. Benny Fowler without Emmanuel Sanders is the wide receiver 2 on that team, and Demaryius Thomas is questionable for this weekend.
Well, it's not a buy low. It's a pickup.
It's a pickup, mainly because I could not think of a buy low.
13 receptions over the course of the season.
Thank you. But look at his targets, and without Emmanuel Sanders in that line. Thank you.
But I feel like if you don't catch the passes that are thrown to you, you're considered a not good player. Interesting.
I will go as far as saying.
Let's top what this year?
No, for just this week. Because Sanders is out.
Okay.
If Thomas is out, he is a must-play in my books.
And what's his ranking this week for you?
He's a top 20 wide receiver.
Top 20, smack it on the wall.
This week, if Thomas doesn't play, if Thomas plays, he's top 30.
I am going, if Thomas doesn't play.
8 targets last week.
Okay.
8 targets.
I'm going under 35. I'm pretty smacking on the wall. Mike, you can have in between 20 and 35. Would you like that?
If
for
Thomas
Benny
is out.
Fowler. For your portion of the bet.
If Demaryius is out?
Right.
Jeez.
Would you like to join me?
I'll take the 20.
You'll take the 20-35?
Yeah.
Okay. You probably have the sweet spot. Right. A sell highs. Sell high, Will Fuller. I just want to say real quick, this is how much we care about the listeners. I'm currently shopping Will Fuller all over the country right now, and my league mates are coming in here sniveling little foxes, trying to figure out what my we just had a spit take from Mike there. Thanks, Mike. Trying to figure out what what's going on up there in Noah's head, and I'm telling you right now, another thing you can sell high. This is really I think we're a little past the sweet spot of the year where you can sell guys on name who haven't performed, but I think that window is closing. So you can sell guys on name right now. Give me a few names, guys. Terrell Pryor, Sammy Watkins, any other come to mind.
I wouldn't necessarily consider Pryor a sell high, but I'd consider him a sell.
Not a high. He's definitely a sell, but just on name. If you, some scrub like Benny Fowler with the same stats as Terrell Pryor, you're not going to be able to trade. Any other, like I said before, Titans backfield sell high. Mike, what you got?
I got Javorius Allen. That backfield, I don't want a part in that backfield.
He's got a big name.
I like Buck. Javorius is when he's not good. Buck is when he's
Allen.
Buck is when he balls
does
out.
have the
That's what he
receiving.
went by at USC.
He does have that receiving aspect, but Alex Collins needs touches, even though he fumbles a lot, so he disappears in
I
games.
think it's all on touches.
But Terrence West is coming back. If you can find a way to get rid of him and package him with someone else, I'd do it.
I don't like messing with the Ravens or the Seahawks backfield. Those bird-themed mascot teams. Maybe not the Eagles. Falcons I like. Devonna Freeman is my guy. He's my boy. Love him to death. But besides those bird-themed teams,
time to cut ties with pretty much is Isaiah Crowell. If you look back, Isaiah Crowell, top 2-3 round picks every year. This year he was the pick in round 2 in my league. Could be in round 3. This man is just, he's ass. Don't get him. It's time.
And Jared and I's shared lead. He was a second round pick.
I just want a quick thing for us to Crowell. Isaiah Crowell, I tried to trade you really hard at the beginning of the season. I'm glad that owner did not trade him to me. It's time to say goodbye to Isaiah Crowell. We love you to death. Find a new team. Sorry.
Back to the program.
Okay, let's move on. All right, last week we talked about every single game, and it was a lot of fun, but it took 77 minutes. This week, we're 22 minutes in. We're kind of hot and ready. Let's talk about one game a piece. I will go first. I'm going to talk about the Cardinals-Rams with my boy AP in the backfield. You can guarantee, like I said, 20 carries, and he's going to rush for over 100 yards again. On the Rams side, I say Adrian Peterson outscores Todd Gurley in standard by 5 points.
Wow.
Yum. Fitzy.
Yum.
Fitzgerald. He's gonna have a monster game. He's very good at home. He's not as good as away. I'm gonna give him. Remember when I said monster game a second ago? Scratch that. I'm giving him 12 points this week.
So
obviously a start average for Fitzy, but not as for all receivers.
Right.
Quarterbacks, Goff. I like Goff as a streamer. If you're losing Rodgers and you got to fill in before you really work those trade blocks next week. I like Goff, but the better quarterback play here is obviously Carson Palmer. Do I have any naysayers in the house?
No, I'm gonna have to go with Jared Goff
over Palmer
this week.
Smack it on the wall.
Goff over Palmer as well for me. The Cardinals secondary outside of Patrick Peterson is terrible.
Patrick Peterson is locked down.
They let Fitzpatrick, although he is quote unquote the best Fitz in the game.
All right.
As Noah Osfeld.
Right.
Come all the way back and almost win that game.
Let's keep in mind Patrick Peterson he did leave the game in the second half. Mike Evans was doing jack shit until Patrick Peterson left the game. Then he gets 3 receptions for 98 yards and a touchdown. Patrick Peterson is locked down. When he's not in that game, then literally anybody can throw on that defense. Running the ball on them is a little bit different a story. Todd Gurley will have a tough time, but it's Todd Gurley.
And also, while we're at it, picking our upsets of the week, right now the spread, I think it's 3.5 to Rams. I'm going an upset. Cardinals beat the Rams by 4 points. You're looking at, you got Carson Palmer, Fitzy, and Adrian Peterson. What is this, 2010, am I right? Or 2008 maybe?
Who would have thought that these guys wouldn't be? Carson Palmer's a little washed up, but
if I told you if like 10 or not 10, I guess it could be 10 years ago.
10 days ago.
8 years ago that these guys would be on the same team, you say, oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl for sure. For sure. Could happen. All right. Next, game of the week.
Game I'm looking forward to. You kind of alluded to it earlier. How will the Packers be without Aaron Rodgers? Now, with Hundley in, how will their playmakers fare? Their Jordy Nelsons, their Randall Cobbs, their Devontae Adams, and then that backfield, as we all know about. I'm looking forward to see how that happens.
Are these receivers all sell highs right now?
Oh,
don't know if
I
you
don't know
could.
if they're sell
I
highs.
honestly think that you need to keep them because you're not going to get as much for them now.
Which receiver do you think will maintain the most his level of
Devontae
production?
Adams.
I agree.
I think Devontae Adams. He had double-digit targets last week. I think he scored. You can fact check on me on that. I'm not sure. I think he did score.
Okay.
But I like Devontae Adams. And then also on the New Orleans Saints side, I like Michael Thomas to have a bounce-back game. I mean, it's kind of given, but I would like Michael Thomas to score. He's in my fantasy
Gotcha.
team. But that's a game I'm really looking forward to.
I think this game's going to be a little closer than people think. I think that Saints will win, but I think it's going to be. I think the spread is. I like the spread at 6 points.
I'll go my upset of the week while we're at it.
Go for it.
A winless team will win this week. And no, Cleveland, I'm sorry, you're still a basketball town with LeBron James there. It will be the San Francisco 49ers over the Dallas Cowboys.
Smack it on the wall.
Woo!
I'm going to have to disagree.
Will
The 49ers are the most competitive 0-6 team ever. They lost their last 5 games by 13 points total. That's little over 2 a game. They're due at one point. It's in San Francisco. Dallas has got too many storylines going about them.
Yeah.
I like San Francisco
Zeke
to do it.
is playing, though. Let's keep that
Zeke,
in mind.
I'm so stressed if I'm Zeke. I mean,
I'm not. He's making the same amount of money.
yeah. Zeke, I mean, let's
Okay, well, I got 2 games for you. One is my upset of the week. That's going to be the Raiders over the Chiefs. You already know this.
Oh, boy.
My other game is the Patriots
As of
game.
now, it's 3 minutes into the game, and I just want to say the Raiders have stopped the Chiefs. It's 4th down at the 35. Let's see if they can kick a field goal.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to say for my actual game of the week, not the upset, is New England against the Falcons. It's the Falcons at New England. Right now, New England's favored by 3 points.
Super Bowl rematch.
I think this is the game that we finally see Julio Jones perform like a first-round pick.
It's really funny. Both the teams that the two Super Bowl teams are just out of whack. The Patriots have the last ranked pass defense right now, and their rush defense isn't that much better. They're in every game. Tom Brady isn't blowing everyone out of the water. It's really, really interesting. And the Falcons, I mean, their MVP quarterback isn't doing well. They're, like you said, Julio isn't doing well. Devonta Freeman is the only part of that offense I really trust every week.
But then you look at it in the other way and you're like, oh, they're struggling. That must mean they're threatening to miss the playoffs. No, Patriots are 4-2, Falcons are 3-2. They easily right the ship and they're 12, 13 wins.
I like both of them ROS. Fantasy-wise, like them both
like
as well.
saying ROS.
ROS means that
ROS Jared over here.
it's like
Kansas City's up 3-0.
all right, I'll take that.
Okay.
I'm surprised that's not a touchdown, honestly.
Yeah.
Given our defense.
Little losing faith in your team, are you?
Oh, 100%. I've given up.
All right, let's talk about our truth of the week. I'll start. Mine's a little sleeper. I'm not gonna equate this guy to the other guys I really, really, really like this week. But I like Joe Mixon this week. I like Joe Mixon against. I think that Andy Dalton's gonna be getting shut down by that Steelers secondary, and they're gonna feed the ball to Mixon. We're gonna give him like little Skittles to Lynch, and I think that he will get 18 carries, which is I think maybe close to his season high. 18 for 80 yards and a touchdown, which is gonna put him up there. I like Mixon this week. I'm gonna start him in leagues.
I'm just gonna have to disagree with that. Mixon, I don't see him as a elite force. That's all I gotta say.
My truth of the week, going to Florida and Jarvis Landry. I talked about Jay Ajayi last week, and he did produce for me.
PPR
But-
or
Well, PPR, Jarvis Landry is quality. Non-PPR, he's still quality, but lesser of quality. But let me talk about his stats. They've played 5 games. How many games do you think he's had double-digit targets?
3,
4.
4.
And the other was a 7-minute game. And his floor is incredible for a wide receiver. He's gotten 50 yards and almost around 50 yards in every game. He gets anywhere from 6 to 10 catches. In a PPR league, that's money. I think he finds the end zone. I see 70 yards and a touchdown for Jarvis Landry.
I like it.
70 yards.
Real quick, let's do a little poll. Better color rush uniforms. We got Raiders with the all white, Chiefs with the all red. Let's all say it at the same time so we're not biased. All right, ready? Everyone got their pick? Everyone got their pick?
Everyone? Is that everyone in here?
All right. Wait. We have one of our sponsors just walked in, and we're going to get him in on this. Hey, AJ, come on over here.
Shout out AJ
Shout
for
out
the
to
mic
AJ
once
for the-
again.
For the mic.
For the $200 mic. AJ, we got Chiefs, Raiders. Who you got this week?
Nobody. I don't play fantasy.
And we're going to all say on the count of three, coolness of Jersey.
And that is a catch by Amari Cooper.
Oh
for
my
12
God.
plus yards.
Amari
We got
Cooper's
Amari
alive.
Off to a great start.
My eyes.
If you didn't pick him up already, I'm sorry. You're a
How
little
did he
behind
catch that
schedule.
ball?
What am I watching?
It's
Is this a
beautiful.
replay from 2 years ago? Did you
All
guys
right.
trick me?
On
All
three
on
uniforms.
Three favorite uniforms. Our audience has been yearning for our red or white or Chiefs?
Raiders or Chiefs?
Raiders or Chiefs. 1, 2, 3.
Raiders.
Chiefs.
Wow.
2 and 2.
2 and 2.
You gotta go with that red. Look at that blood red. They're gonna.
The Raiders have the
I
best
like the
color
Raiders.
rush.
Raiders
By-
are crisp.
By the end of the game, I think both teams will have red unis.
I'm buying low on the Raiders units.
Poetic and beautiful.
Talk about how the Raiders' offensive line has struggled.
Wait,
this
wait,
year.
Talking about a
wait.
PK Hernandez home run. Dodgers at
Wait,
2-0.
you guys totally glossed over my amazing little comment there. Let's roll back the tape. I think both teams are gonna have red unis by the end because of blood metaphors stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Don't
Thanks.
quit your day. Don't
Thanks.
quit your day job, Noah.
Thanks. Shout out to Mrs. Saray, my 11th grade AP Lang teacher. You're the worst.
Shout out to anyone that's still listening, to be honest.
What's the over-under this week? Last week the over-under was Jared Cook. Last week the over-under minutes-wise was 18. I think where our fan base is building. I think we're up to maybe 6 or 7 fans. I think the over-under this week is 22
Do you
minutes.
think we hit 100 views?
This week? I think we do.
I'm
If-
going to take the under.
I'm thinking no.
If Jared and Mike want to have 100 views, they have the power on this amazing thing called social media, which they did not utilize last week. I'm calling them out.
Okay.
I'm on Jared's Twitter.
I have a large following on Twitter.
No, you don't. All right, let's continue.
1,000 followers. Thank you very much.
Have we gone over
A flea flicker.
A flea flicker to who is that?
Oh,
With a touchdown,
That's pass.
I told you to buy it.
That's pass
Oh,
interference.
my God.
That's pass interference. He pushed him
Calm
down.
down.
He pushed him down.
Amari Cooper
okay.
wants a touchdown.
That was a
so
two-hand
bad.
shove.
He's got 2 targets, though. That's what I like.
Amari's walking around the field.
That
like,
was a
here
two-hand
comes, here,
shove.
wait, we're watching the replay right
He
now.
tripped. Oh my God! He completely tripped.
Hey, we are professional.
He honestly could have stepped out too.
We are professional podcasters here. We gotta remain
Wow.
calm. Everyone, sit down.
Let's go! That's a touchdown!
It's a touchdown!
I told you to buy
Oh my God!
Cooper.
Amari Cooper with a touchdown.
I
Absurd.
he might have stepped out if I'm being completely honest. Not to be a Debbie Downer.
Wow. Hold on, guys.
That last step before he extended. Go text everyone
If
about
you-
Amari Cooper.
If you're listening right now, go ahead and skip ahead about 60 seconds because we're gonna.
That's a shove. Oh, he didn't step out.
he didn't
That's a
step out.
touchdown.
Okay, let's continue.
shove.
Sorry to viewers who are like, these guys suck. What are they talking about? You're correct. 38 yards for Cooper. Good job. All right. We have a new segment on the show. We like to call it the Jammin' Football League or the Jared Michael Noah Football League. All right, now that thing I said about Cooper, get him out of there. If Jared Williams is in your league, get him out of there. Bye-bye, Coopy.
I'm buying.
He did not coop his pants this week.
Not at all.
Okay. We have a new segment we like to call the Jammin' Football League, the JMN, a.k.a. Jared Michael Noah Football League, where we pick a mini football league every week and go head-to-head, and then next week you're going to find out who won. So, the rules are you pick 1 QB outside the top 10, 2 running backs outside the top 15, 2 wide receivers outside the top 15, and 1 tight end that's not named Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, or Rob Gronkowski. Ooh, it's close.
Using ESPN leagues too.
Using
Non-PPR.
ESPN
Rankings. Non-PPR.
non-PPR ESPN rankings. Mike, you want to start us off?
My team, go Tyrod Taylor, Doug Martin, Tevin Coleman, Devontae Adams, my truth, Jarvis Landry, and the boy I've put a lot of faith in, Austin Seferian Jenkins.
Okay. Jared,
Yes.
let's hear it.
All right, so my team this week is going to be also at quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. Also going with Adrian Peterson, going
Boo.
off a
Can't pick my
strong
guy.
week. He's one of the best outside the top 15.
True.
Also going with Duke Johnson. I think he's in for a big game against the Titans. And for my receivers,
Duke's a basketball school, not a football school.
did you not hear my last name? All right.
Okay.
Back to the team. Also, Amari Cooper.
Oh no! Did you? Let me see your.
let's
Let
see
me
it,
see your
let's see
notes. Where is it? He crossed out.
down the team. He wrote down the team just to fly. I literally
That's
looked
a
down and he was writing down the team.
Jared, we might have to fire you.
We
This is
have a
fire.
serpent.
He
We have a
crossed.
snake in the building.
This is
Jared
This is a complete
crossed
lie.
off TY and wrote it.
I crossed off TY while I was writing the team down.
Your pick is T.Y. Hilton.
I also
Smack it
got
on the wall.
Stephon Diggs. If Stephon Diggs doesn't play,
No,
then
this
I'm
isn't
taking Adam Thielen.
So who you take? You pick one right now.
Well, I don't know if Diggs isn't playing, then I don't know.
You suck. Pick the player you snake.
If Diggs is playing, I want Diggs. If Diggs isn't
Alright,
playing, I want Thielen.
Diggs and T.Y. are Jared's picks.
And Amari Cooper. Also at tight end, I got Evan Ingram.
Okay, Noah's picks and the winning picks this week. Give me 1 sec. I forgot one portion.
This is good hosting right here.
Good hosting. All right. Noah's picks of the week. We got Carson Palmer at QB, Adrian Peterson, and Tevin Coleman at running back, and Alshon Jeffrey and Kelvin Benjamin at wide receiver, with your boy ASJ Austin Severus Jenkins at tight end.
This will be good this week.
It'll be a good week.
Good matchup. As long as Jared doesn't get his Amari Cooper.
Right. Okay, let's talk about a few hot topics. Ooh, that's hot. Hot topics brought to you by Fire. Fire keeps you
Firehouse
warm.
subs.
No, just fire. Let's talk about Zeke a little bit. What do you do with Zeke? Okay, let's just do a little recap real quick. Zeke, he started off the season not suspended. Then before the season started, he got suspended. Then before the season started, he
was
got
suspended before the
unsuspended. Then it's so many switcheroonies. Then there
Anyways.
was rumors about him being suspended. Then he got suspended. But now he's saying the judge is on vacation, probably has him on his fantasy team, trying to trade him away real quick. And that judge. And now we don't really know what's going to happen after this week. What do you guys think? What do you do if you have him? What do you do if you don't have him?
Personally, I'm going to go a different route. If I was Zeke, I'd take the suspension right now. I look at it as like a Tom Brady type thing. He's going to serve those 6 games at some point, and better now than later. And if you start holding it off, and the Cowboys still struggle this year, he might as well have been suspended this year rather than the beginning of next year when they have new hope. If I was Zeke, just take your suspension now. You're not going to win the battle.
Okay.
It's just going to be a distraction as long as you fight it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to sort of agree with Michael on this one. Whereas, the only difference is, I don't know if the Cowboys really have too good of a chance to make the playoffs, especially if Michael's picking them to lose against the 49ers. You know, at this point,
This Michael's 1 for 1 on crazy outside
Michael's 1
picks.
for 1. You don't want this suspension to be leading into next year. So if you got to serve it now, serve it this season so that next season you have a full clean slate.
So I don't think many of our viewers need NFL suspension advice. So I'll let you guys. I'm gonna abstain from voting there. But for fantasy wise, I think if you have Zeke, you got to be patient. Try to maybe go if you need another guy. Maybe go try to trade for. I like Martin. I like Mixon. Rest of season.
Mixon for Zeke?
Not straight
Whoa,
up.
he's saying find other
Find
guys.
someone,
Don't trade
find a
Zeke.
replacement. You should have a replacement somewhere, but if you can find one, that's great. And if you don't have Zeke, and the Zeke owner is trying to get rid of him, if you can buy him right now for the value of suspended Zeke, go for it. Right?
I was all in on trying to find a way to buy Zeke, but the only thing I'm concerned about now is if he's suspended through the fantasy playoffs, which is just going to be a no-go.
Which I think is what's going to happen.
Because what I wanted was to buy Zeke, and he serves his 6 games, and then he comes back and gives your team, if you make the playoffs,
Huge boost.
extra
Sort of
life.
like a David Johnson boost.
Yeah, it's like make the playoffs, Zeke comes back, and you're great.
There goes Kareem.
And
Nothing new. Good defense, Raiders.
I don't know how he does it, but he makes so many guys miss.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's one hot topic. If you can get Zeke at the value of being suspended, if he is going to be suspended, I like him. If you're 4-1, if you're 4-2, 5-1, go grab him, keep him as a stash. David Johnson, same thing. If you can go, when he's coming back. Earliest he can come back is Thanksgiving, which is week 12. Could be 13, could be 14, could be not at all. It really depends on whether or not the organization feels it as a risk they're willing to take for a re-injury, and if they have a chance of the playoffs. So I like trying to get David Johnson, especially if you already have Adrian Peterson. Then go get David Johnson. David Johnson will most likely play more games than Adrian Peterson, but who's getting more value right now? It's definitely Adrian Peterson.
How do you think this Adrian Peterson trade affects David Johnson?
I don't think
not at all.
If David Johnson comes back healthy, he's the workhorse.
There's no way Adrian Peterson will interfere.
Adrian Peterson, you can still get 5 to 10 carries.
Because it's crazy, but David Johnson is what
so?
AP was 6 years ago.
But if the Cardinals aren't in line to make the playoffs, he's coming back from injury, I think the Cardinals would be more inclined to not give David Johnson as big of a workload.
Hold on. If they're not playoff contenders, which I think they will be, I think that they probably will bring back David Johnson later than week 12, if at all. Point is, if you have Adrian Peterson, go try to get David Johnson. And
if AP's playing the way he plays.
What I'm saying is if David Johnson comes back, having Adrian Peterson is going to push back when they're going to bring David Johnson back, right? So now they're not going to bring David Johnson back until he's fully healthy.
Right. Because
they have Adrian Peterson. But when David Johnson comes back, AP might still get 5. He'll be the when David Johnson needs rest kind of guy. He'll get 5 carries maybe. But David Johnson will still be the receiving threat. He'll still be the
It just really depends on their playoff contention.
But the thing is when David Johnson comes back, he's still David Johnson. But
right.
He might come back later just because they now have the added benefit of Adrian Peterson.
Right. Okay. One more hot topic, and then we'll let you all go. Falcons offense. Where do you guys see the Falcons offense for the rest of the season?
I think they only go up. They have too much talent to stay where they're at. Julio Jones has been banged up. He's struggled, but he's still, in my opinion, 1B to Antonio Brown's 1A in terms of talented receivers in the league.
Okay.
He's due to have his breakout, to get his. And
get his.
Mohamed Sanu is a great play. I think he's a flex play in almost majority of leagues. And then you got to start Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. And Matt Ryan, you have to keep starting.
I think I'm very high on Mohamed Sanu, especially if he's playing from this day until the end of the season. I think he's a borderline wide receiver 2, most definitely a wide receiver 3.
Okay. I'll go wide receiver 3, I think low end. 2, I don't know about 2 actually at all. But what do you rank him rest of the season? Or we'll go 7 on. Where do you rank him?
I think he's a top 35 receiver rest of the season.
I could see that.
I think he could break top 30.
But I think his ceiling is 25.
I think his ceiling is 30.
Right, like it's not
wide receiver.
But you're getting value out of him. But you're not expecting him to.
Falcons have a pretty good schedule rest of the season. We'll see how he does. Quick poll.
Go for it. Does Kareem Hunt score a touchdown on this drive?
Right here.
On this drive.
Yes.
Not on this play, but on this drive.
Or Tyreek Hill.
Kareem Hunt's going to score on this play.
On this play.
I think he's going to catch a pass instead of a run, though. Kareem Hunt's not in the game.
Kareem Hunt's. He's still going to score, though.
Charkandrick West is hurt. Who's their running back right now?
It's some
Does it matter?
Crazy. Oh, there's your boy.
Travis Kelce.
Wait.
T-Kels.
Oh, crap. I don't know if I said my... Well, who else would I have in for Kelsey? I definitely just have him in there.
I needed that Kareem Hunt
Never mind.
Touchdown.
I just have.
I'll take a touchdown for Alex Smith for my fantasy
I'll
team.
take 7.5 and a half PPR league already from Kareem Hunt.
Okay, last thing before we're done. Let's go. One of my colleagues, Matthew Berry, who's another top fantasy analyst in the biz,
I personally
comes
don't
out.
like the guy.
Comes out with he was the Kareem Hunt truther this year, just so you know. He comes out with a love.
That's why I value.
Right. Love, hate every week, which is his guys that he likes this week and guys that he doesn't. So let's go through a few players he has this week and kind of, do we agree with Matthew or do we disagree? First of all, quarterbacks he loves in in week 7 is Matt Ryan.
Love.
Very
against
logical.
New England How many points?
Defense.
How many touchdowns? 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. Exactly.
300 plus.
300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Well, I actually see the way he's been playing this year. You would not think he's going to do that, but I think he's going to do it this week also.
Okay, other guys he likes. Let's just do a quick lightning round. You like this pick or not? Carson Wentz against the Redskins Monday night.
Carson Wentz. Redskins defense is a good defense. Carson Wentz is good.
I think it depends if Josh Norman's in or out.
And Breland might not play too.
Yeah.
Right.
Kirk Cousins against the Eagles.
I think they'll be playing from behind.
I don't like Cousins this week.
I think they'll be playing from behind.
He won't come close to what he did last week, but I still think he'll put up 2 touchdowns, 250.
Yeah.
He'll put up a good week.
Eagles got a good defense though.
You can never predict what's going to happen on Monday night. Let's go quarterbacks. He does not like Ben Roethlisberger against the Bengals.
Bengals are a top 5 passing defense team
Right.
this year.
I think Ben Roethlisberger has a bounce back game.
Me too.
Woo!
Me too.
Where did you just went
I
from,
wasn't finished with
you
my
just went
statement.
From Bengals are a top 5 defense.
No,
Top 5
I
passing
gotta go
defense.
Jared. Jared was not finished with his statement. Go ahead.
However,
Oh boy.
by bounce
Let
back
me
game
check
for
the
Ben
paper.
Roethlisberger.
Let me check the
bounce
paper.
back game for Ben Roethlisberger.
Let me check the paper. Oh, he crossed off T.Y. Hilton and wrote in Ben Roethlisberger.
Amari Cooper.
Go ahead.
By bounce back game, I don't see him scoring more than 25 fantasy points, but I see him scoring at least 15. I think he's a solid play for around 20 points this week.
Okay. Other quarterbacks. Well, Derek Carr was a touchdown already. Matthew Berry does not like him. Let's skip over that because we are cheating if we talk about it. Running backs, Matthew Berry loves in week 7. Adrian Peterson. Gotta agree with him. Any naysayers? Adrian Peterson.
I love him this week too. I think it's kind of hard
He
not
has
to.
as good of a week as last
No,
week.
not as good, but how many carries will he get?
16.
Does he outscore Todd Gurley this week?
No.
Yes.
No, there's no way he outscores Todd Gurley.
Smack it on the wall.
How many points does the Rams defense score this week? 14 or 7?
Can I get defenses I don't care about for $300, please?
When your defense leads your team,
All right. We get it.
you have Rams defense.
Rams are going to win the Super Bowl guaranteed. DeMarco Murray. What do you think about this week against the Browns?
I don't like it.
I think
Browns traditionally get beat through the air, and if you're playing the Browns, you're but if you're playing the Browns, you're normally ahead.
I think Derrick Henry's going to get a good workload again this week.
I think it's going to be a very similar game to last week. I think
And they
Derrick
both
Henry,
played well, though.
Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray are running back twos. They're both going to give above 10 points, and you're going to be able to sell them for even more money next week.
Definitely don't sell him now, is what you're saying.
If you can get good value now, but
If you
I
can
think
sell Henry now, I would steal him. But
Henry now, maybe wait for Murray next week. Okay. What do you guys think about Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery?
I don't
need
like.
time.
You
I
need
need
time?
I need a couple weeks to see what's going on, but at that point, then you're too far in the season. But I think Aaron Jones, long term, is their back, and long term,
Interesting.
years.
What
2
about
years.
this year?
I think next year Aaron Jones will be the
Who do you
starter.
want rest of the season? Neither.
That's tough.
You got to pick. I'm going Ty Montgomery.
I'll go Aaron Jones.
The rest of the season this year, I want Ty Montgomery, but
Smack it on the wall.
I'll go Aaron Jones.
You don't want either of them.
I think I think Ty Montgomery will be a solid flex play rest of the season. I think he'll put up a few more touchdowns. I think that Huntley's going to be looking. Oh, never mind. Sorry, tip the ball in the game. I think Montgomery will be a nice little outlet for Huntley. I like him as a top
20?
25.
Aaron Rodgers.
22.
Aaron Rodgers being out definitely hinders his.
Des Bryant. Matthew Berry loves Des Bryant this week. I love Des Bryant.
I love Des Bryant every week.
Yeah.
He's been underperforming this year, but I think that he's going to do well. I think Dak doesn't get phased.
Facing San Francisco.
Alshon Jeffrey. Nelson Aguilar is a guy I want to talk about. Nelson Aguilar, I think because his last name is Aguilar, people undervalue him. People say, who like, I don't know who that guy is. His name is Aguilar. Aguilar in standard leagues is the number 12 receiver right now. So make sure you know that.
Out of USC.
Shut up.
Another USC person you might want to add this week. There's a few good USC people. You got Buck Allen could be a good play. Nelson Aguilar, good play. Also, Marquise Lee. Facing the Colts defense, he could be a play. Saw about 10 targets last week. Could be a flex play.
Stop saying could be. Stop saying could be.
Man up to the guys you take.
Always, someone wise once told me, always say maybe instead of saying no.
That would be me. But anyways, with Marquise Lee, you're counting on Blake Bortles throwing a touchdown in order for Marquise Lee to have a great game.
He had over 8 fantasy points. If you need someone to fill in for your DeAndre Hopkins of the world who are on bye, you need one more player to play at flex or a third receiver. He could be a play.
I agree with that, but the way you're hyping him up is always a great play.
Who do you like better this week, Marquise Lee or Eric Decker at the Browns?
Marquise Lee.
I'm going Eric Decker. Smack it on the wall.
Who do you like more, Eric Decker or Benny Fowler? Also, Demaryius Thomas is playing. I still like Benny.
Who do you like better, Eric Decker or a guy off the practice squad? Eric Decker.
With more touchdowns this year than Eric Decker.
That hurts.
That does hurt.
Okay, let's continue. Pass catchers Matthew Berry hates in Week 7. T.Y. Hilton. I don't think this is like a secret. He's going against the Jags, and he had 1 catch last week on 4 targets.
Obviously, if you have him, you got to play him.
Really?
I think so. You play him. I think the Colts find the end zone through the air. The problem is it won't happen a lot of times. It depends if it's Jack Doyle.
I think he's a flex
Whoever
player.
scores that touchdown
He'll get over or under 50 yards.
Over.
I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to go under, smack it on the wall. As a bitter T.Y. Hilton owner last week. He's been good this season, surprisingly, though. All right, I think any last thoughts from everyone?
I think we've covered a lot today.
I think my Jaguars will be sitting pretty at 4-3. One thing I do want to call out is the football team from Detroit is on a bye this week, but our fan in-house, Noah Osfeld, is wearing a crisp Calvin Johnson jersey.
Stop it.
He's a hell of a fan. Give him a round of applause.
Oh, come on. Come on, guys.
Shout out to Noah's mom.
Also, Jared is wearing a Raiders t-shirt, which is kind of bummy. It's faded. It's not even a jersey.
I think this will be a segment. We'll all talk about our shirts every week. Michael's wearing a nice little blue, artsy little white shirt. Not that exciting.
Just like his
come game day, I'll be wearing my Leonard
Fantasy45 podcast from Noah Obsfeld, Michael Smith, and Jared Williams. If you're listening now at minute 53, we really appreciate you. Your name is probably ends. Oh my God! Amari Cooper with 2 touchdowns.
The podcast
in the first quarter. 2 touchdowns.
Raiders analysis. Come to the Fantasy45 podcast for your best
3
Raiders
receptions for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns.
This is that 35-point game that Amari Cooper has, and next week everyone's gonna play him, and he's gonna have less than 30 yards.
Bet on it.
What?
Right now.
Less than 50.
Okay.
Less than 50. All right, here we go. Thank you.
He will not have double-digit points next week.
Thank you for listening. Shut the fuck up. Thank you for listening to the Fantasy45 podcast. Amari Cooper has 2 touchdowns. Anything can happen, kids. Go tell the one you love them. They need to know. Go take a chance. You know, it doesn't matter because we're all young and beautiful, and you only live once. And I know it's oversaid, but it's true. Okay. Go Amari Cooper tonight. Amari Cooper did not Coop his pants. Goodbye.